Hello, Devlin here with you, and welcome to Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. I'm in a mellow mood right now. I'm sitting here. I'm not in the studio today. I'm actually here in my own living room. And it'd be funnier if I was in somebody else's living room. As I can see, this is totally off the cuff. This is a very mild episode tonight, but it's cool because I'm not alone. I actually have a guest that I kind of railroaded into this. He told me he would do anything I asked, and stupidly I said, let's podcast. See, when somebody says like that, I don't go to the dirty stuff immediately, though with this guy, I should have. Anyhow, this guy's always so willing. I remember we worked together, and I asked him to wear a tight shirt, and he brought 3, and he actually modeled all of them, and I said, do you want me to turn around? And he said, no, you can look. I did. I looked. He's been on my show before. He is awesome. I rave about him all the time, and he blushes, so I won't do that too much, but he's funny, he's smart, he's handsome, and he's hunky, and I've got him here for my Valentine's Day. He's blushing right now. I love it. It's even hotter. There's nothing hotter than a muscle guy that is blushing. But anyhow, it's my Valentine's Day show, and I am here with the lovely, lovely and talented Gary Reid.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for that.
No problem. You might want to speak up a bit.
I'm just
I know, you're
just
doing
reeling in praise.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, yeah, I don't take hints easy. People say, I'll do anything you want. We usually have a time limit when we get together because Gary gets up really early in the morning. So yes. When we meet, we talk so much that we have to put a time limit on it, or we could realize it's like, oh, I got to go to work in an hour.
Yeah, that would very easily happen.
Yeah, and so it's kind of fun. But we have a night where we don't really have to, and I told him, hey, why don't we podcast? Because we yak a lot anyhow. Let's podcast. But he didn't know I was actually setting him up for the Valentine's Day show. But
that's all good.
You're a romantic, though, at heart, right?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, you're a sentimental guy. So I thought, yeah, I don't think I've ever done a Valentine's Day show with a guest, so let's do that.
Well, I mean, I think we did how we first met a few times.
We did,
yeah.
And
I was on that a couple of
I did, but I've never podcast with a guest on Valentine's.
No,
right? So we'll talk all things like I don't know. We'll come up. What?
I feel like I should have brought you a rose or something now.
That's all good. You brought yourself. Good Lord. You even went to the gym and worked out for me. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you probably didn't do it for me, but
it's more for defense than offense.
No problem. I just
I got to fight the brownie bulge.
I should have told you to wear a tight shirt, and you could have brought a couple, but you look great, as always. Before we get to talking about Valentine's Day stuff, let's talk about what's going in your life. The last time we talked, you were getting back into music, I believe, and you were looking for a band, and anything to proceed for your fans out there?
Well, I had a few rehearsals with a bass player and a drummer, and things are coming along really quickly, smoothly. So that should be a steady gig fairly soon.
And that's what you dreamed of, right? You wanted to get a band.
Yeah, enough to get by financially where I wouldn't have to move, because I like where I live, and anything else would be more expensive.
So no world tour coming up?
No, nothing like that.
At least you live in an area that there's a lot of bars that support bands.
Yeah, we're not like up in the Yukon or something.
We're playing the one bar every night.
So yeah, no, it's good because I'm also doing some solo stuff. And I've actually got McMaster approached me. I'm on their payroll now as a standardized patient for their clinical learning center. So I get to be technically a Mac employee and a paid actor. Not on a regular basis. Is that
one of those where you get a disease and you have to act it?
Sometimes, yeah. The Medical Council of Canada is usually what I used to do.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, now it's McMaster as well. So nothing's come up the pipes yet, but they've set the paperwork in place for me to officially be on their payroll and stuff.
I wonder how that works. Like, do you get like a disease and then you look it up, or they give you the symptoms?
There's a lot of stuff that I've signed confidentiality agreements to, so I can't really get to, especially if this is going to be released.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. So, yeah,
no problem.
But I assume that's what it's like. You get elephantitis of the nuts, and you have to like have the symptoms.
And I'm perfect for that.
Okay, we won't talk about that anymore because I just want to go deep into it, but I don't want to get you
deep
trouble.
into my giant elephant.
Yeah, I don't want to be like this podcast that has a listenership of 17 people just got you fired from the McMaster thing. I'm glad you're playing music now. Are you still working on your album, or are we going to see anything like that yet, or is it?
My good friend Tina Taylor got me some studio time a while back for a present, as a birthday present. She's one of my bigger fans. She's when you see a lot of pictures or videos, it's mostly her.
Which is awesome.
And she gets mad when I don't let her know about stuff, and I'm just like, I keep trying to say to her, sometimes life gets in the way. Don't take it so hard.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal, but she really likes to be there for it. But the studio time was on kind of the back burner because this studio producer is one of the more perfectionist types. So I brought in a drummer who I'd worked with and wrote some of the songs, not with, but like he provided the backbeat that inspired me to play these songs. And I have a lot of the rough versions on my phone. Well, I dragged him up to the studio and we got like 5 tracks, just the drum tracks down. And then he was very aloof and not the most professional with how he was conducting. So I went with somebody who was recommended that I work with in my job. And he had never been in a studio before, professional studio. He came up and did a couple songs. Problem with him is he liked the cigarettes, so like after every song he'd blow and have 2 cigarettes, and it's just like, this is not a cheap night. You know what I mean? Studio time, especially premier studio time, is not cheap. So what I figured is I don't have anybody in a band right now. Well, this was back before I had a band assembled, so I can't even if I make a CD, I can't go out and play it.
Yeah.
So that kind of didn't screech the brakes on it, but I was just like, I'm not going to rush into the studio. And especially when the musicians are all going to do it for me out of the kindness of their heart, because otherwise I got to pay studio musicians $100 a song times 3, drummer, bass player, and guitar player. Well, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And then all the time of production and running over and mixing, right? So I just I put it not on the back burner because I have a ton of originals. So what I just figured is I'll go do solo acoustics until I get a band. And anytime I do a gig that's not really going to pay me anything, if I'm just doing it to help somebody out, most of the time I will just do my originals. It's like, well, if you want me to play and you want me to perform, well, you're going to hear this.
Yeah.
Like I did one for it was a 2-day thing for the Tree of Stars. They were doing for awareness and depression and a lot of the other things that people are going through. This was, was going towards that. So I thought, okay, some of my songs are actually lyrically geared towards, addressing those issues in an ambiguous way, so that it's not like coming right out and saying, it's not like a Roger Waters song where, the word razor blade is in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's more, like the one song I wrote called Our Heroes. There's a line in it that says, whether you start thinking or stop drinking, you're a hero to us. Even lend a hand to do what you can do, be someone you can trust. So it's more about just embracing everybody, whether it's their flaws or their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm got all these heavy duty songs and nobody to play with them, so I'm just refining them when I play them. So I did the Tree of Stars thing. 2 nights I did a whole bunch of my stuff. And then I did a cancer fundraiser at Tracy's place, and she asked me to do cover songs.
Nice.
And I won't lie to you, I'm selling tickets for this. I didn't want to do cover songs, but I want to make people happy.
Yeah.
So I acquiesced, I guess. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think so.
I just kind of caved.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to sell tickets, I would prefer to sell tickets for my stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of places out there, if I'm going to do cover songs, the people will go and see them all the time for free.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to eventually, get on the roof of Dr. Disc and perform at the crawls and get more of a following.
Yeah.
The one place I'm playing called The Brew, they actually said, if you want to throw some of your originals in with it, you can.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and I've
Get them out there.
I've had people ask me to play an occasional original, and I usually do. I'm not a big I don't know what the word would be, like, I'm not a boaster. I don't like, trying to promote myself. It feels really it goes against the grain of me. I'm not shy. Like, I can rise to the occasion and perform in front of a Super Bowl crowd. But
the promotional part is...
you want me to call you and offer to do it for, like...
I had to learn to do that.
You know what I mean?
You learn to do that, and sometimes it's not easy, promoting yourself. Like...
Yeah, like, I mean, I've said, like, I have no problem. I could host the Oscars.
Yeah.
Just sit me in front of them, tell me what I got to read, tell me what I got to say, tell me what I got to do. And it won't be like, oh, my goodness, Michael Douglas is looking at me. I'm so good, meh.
When you were in the studio, was it a kick being in the studio? Had you been in a studio before?
I've been in studios. I was in the original Catherine North with a guy years ago. But, okay.
Yeah, I'm just checking. I'm not bored or anything. I just like to make sure the numbers are still going.
It was, we went in there, first time it was actually pretty cool. And the producer was giving me feedback on my lyrics, or on my singing. That was, it was a nice vibe that was going on there. But this guy was a teacher and was more interested in just kind of like, oh, let's try this. It's like, you're paying money to go into a recording studio. That's not time to just wing it. You already have pre-written songs. I'm not like Frank Zappa, 9-to-5 businessman kind of musician, but I'm also like, can we talk about all the social stuff after we get our stuff done? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like when you do a rehearsal at an improv show. It sounds kind of funny, rehearsal and improv, but I'm saying when you're going through the paces of something, everybody gets into topics and starts free associating and chatting. It's like, whoa. Let's do these exercises first, and then we'll all go out for a bite to eat and chat and do these things. Yeah. Like, there's a time and a place for that kind of stuff. So, so musically, I'm just really, really eager to take it to the next level. I was joking that it was like the game Rock Band. I don't know if you've ever played Rock Band.
I played it once, I think.
Well, in the beginning, you start off and you're barely in, hardly in any clubs, and people are always asking you to play for free, but you'll get more fans, and there's a whole thing to it. Well, that's kind of what I have already done. Like, I played at the Hard Rock Cafe with a band in Toronto, and a handful of people were watching us, but it felt cool to be able to say I played on the stage in the Hard Rock Cafe in Toronto.
Nice.
That felt neat. It was like Elvis's jacket and Neil Young's cowboy hat, like just weird things that you see. So, but now the musicians I'm hooking up with are like, well, I want to make money. Well, yeah, we all want to make money.
Yeah.
So I just want to do it in such a way that I'm not forcing anybody, bullying anybody, nagging anybody. Eventually I will get the right musicians into the studio and get all my songs down, and then, because I have almost 2 albums worth of music written.
Cool.
So,
it will happen.
Yeah. Thanks.
I love that exaggerating. Yeah, thanks.
Well, no, think about baseball. They have a minor league system. I said they have the single A. Now I'm starting to get into the double A, where I'm playing more clubs. You're
definitely getting out there more.
Yeah, and I have, my friend Louise also. She's been very good. She's kind of like my agent / friend. She's been very supportive and helpful, and couldn't have done it without Louise and Tina and people like you and my close friends who've been there for me.
Excellent.
Every time I sing "Hungry Like a Wolf," I think of you, actually.
Yes, I remember doing the screaming in the back. You mentioned studio musicians, and a lot of big-name artists started off as studio musicians. You know your music, but I found out a little trivia the other day that I thought was interesting, and I thought I'd throw it your way. Do you know what Jimmy Page's first #1 song was?
Oh, that's going to bug me now. No, I do.
It blew me away. It blew me away because I didn't know he was a studio musician before he went on to play for other things.
If you tell me, I'll say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know it escapes me. And
it's Jimmy Page's first number one song was Downtown by Petula Clark. That blows me away.
No kidding.
I like little trivia like that.
That's awesome.
So you're not a fan of Valentine's Day, if I recall. I'm talking in the past, right? Is that you that you're not a big fan of the?
With me, it's anything where you have to have a specific day that is involving. Well, this is the day that you're supposed to be romantic and all these gestures. That has never been a theory I've subscribed to. To my opinion, every day. I mean, it doesn't have to be to the extremes of Valentine's Day.
Absolutely.
There should be days throughout the year that are just like that.
Absolutely.
And like when I was married, I remember we would have a nice song come on, and I would grab my wife and just start slow dancing with her in the middle of the living room.
I totally agree. Valentine's should be every day. But I don't have a problem with there being one day related to it. When people tell me Valentine's Day was just created, I said, yeah, so were wedding anniversaries. Well, and Valentine's Day usually lasts longer.
Well, I think with Valentine's Day, there's a bit of I don't know if it's the right words here, but almost a boastful thing, like where people are trying to outdo each other. My husband gave me a dozen roses. Well, my husband took me on a cruise. Well, my wife did this for me. Like everybody's doing all these things, and that's the other thing. You want equal rights and equal everything else. Why is it always my husband did this for me on Valentine's Day?
I totally agree. It should be both.
Why isn't it not a mutual thing, whether it be man to man, woman to woman, or whatever? The constant expectations of defining roles when everybody is constantly fighting the patriarchy society.
Absolutely.
Society.
Well, you never hear, you always hear women say, "Oh, I got the most beautiful flowers." Not often do you hear about men getting flowers. Not that men would want flowers. Would you feel weird if a woman bought you flowers?
No, I got flowers when I did the Cobblestone Festival in Paris. Someone handed me a bouquet, and it was the sweetest gesture.
I love getting flowers after a show. I like getting flowers. I buy my own flowers if I don't get any.
I think the only thing I don't like about getting flowers is to know, okay, now they're dead. It's nice that they smell nice and they look nice, but that's the only back of my mind thing. It's like, you could have left them in the pots and just gave me the pots with the flowers.
That's true. I mean? No, it's true. But I also
I killed something.
I hate the idea when flowers look gorgeous at a funeral, but I always think, I wish people would. I hope they send me the flowers before I die so I can at least enjoy them.
Well, it's like that. It was a 5 flower. It was like a low. Like you could call that number, and anywhere you were going to get flowers through that. Yeah. I was like, nah. I
like the concept of flowers, but I don't. I know people say that. Well, they just die, but I'm like, but they cut them anyhow, so they're going to just die in the store. Why can't they die in my living room?
Yeah,
I enjoy wildflowers. I like kind of a mix, I'm not really big into the roses and stuff. I like blue roses, when they dye them, but they don't last.
I love to press wildflowers.
What?
I love to press wildflowers.
yeah, I'm a typical gay man. I like a nice set of flowers, but I'll buy it for myself if nobody else does. But cheap, I won't buy expensive flowers. Yeah. Farmer's market has beautiful flowers.
I mean, it's almost like when you go in and get oranges and lemons from a market. There's a smell. They're not as pronounced as the smell of a bouquet of flowers, but like you put your nose up to a lemon or orange, it's like you can smell the citrus through the rind. It's there's a freshness to that.
Could you once tell me a story about a pineapple?
Oh, well, that's
I want to hear
there's
the
a few of them, but the most funniest story is I was going to the store for...
Yeah, I want to hear this story again, because I think this was funny if I enjoy it. I enjoyed it.
I would go into the store, and everyone's like, oh, you want... Yeah, grab me this. Yeah, grab me that. And my friend goes, just surprise me. I go, what? He goes, just whatever, man, surprise me. And I walked into the store, and I was going to get him one of those little surprise grab bag things that the kids get.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's just too cliche. And then I looked over and noticed that there was pineapples there. I'm like, well, that's what he's getting. I mean, like full-on pineapple with the stem and everything.
Yeah, with the stem. Yeah.
So I bought it, and I come back, and I handed everybody the things, and I go, here you go, man. And he put it down on the table, and he goes, Mel, I have to admit, I am surprised.
You know, this is a great story, and it's not the only one I know. I had a friend who once went to a party, and he always heard, you should never go empty-handed to a party. So some people bring bottles of wine and stuff. He was at a variety store and just happened to have pineapples, and he decided he showed up at the party and gave the owner of the house a pineapple. They didn't know what to do with it, but they thought, that's a nice gesture. Wasn't like a luau or anything. So.
Schnittius?
Do you remember, did your parents celebrate Valentine's Day? Or?
I don't think my parents were a very good influence on me. When it came to relationships, it was a lot of, I really want to do it the opposite of what they're doing.
Okay, so that you learned from them, but just not in the way that normally learn.
My father had no patience for anything, and both my parents, when they got together and married, were teenagers and had me very, very young. I think my mother was 19 when I was born.
Oh, wow.
She turned 20 later that year. Same with my father. My father turned 19 a month after I was, or turned 20 a month after I was born. So they were very, very young. I mean, picture being that young, and back, nobody really knew anything back then.
Yeah.
As opposed to now where it's like, don't do this, don't lay them on their stomach, could have saved a lot of babies if we stopped smothering them with stuffed animals and stuff like that they would put in the cribs. And nowadays it's like, don't put them up against the wall and don't put them here. And I get it. I mean, as a father of one child, it would devastate me had I lost him at any point, or even now when he's annoying. Do you know what I mean?
I totally get the stuffed animal thing. It was my father's sixth sense that actually saved my life.
That's just it.
I was very quiet in my crib, and he kind of peeked in, and he thought it was too quiet, so he actually went in. And when he turned on the lights, he actually saw that I was turning blue, and he noticed that I had a teddy bear with a missing eye.
Got the eye in the ball.
And so he basically just did all I think he may have even it hit me on the back or took his finger. And apparently I was choking on that eye, and I would have died if he didn't use the sixth sense on that one. Yeah, but it's funny because, my mother was a smoker and drinker all through my pregnancy. Well, not my pregnancy, her pregnancy with me, but, I picture, I picture probably having it during the, giving birth. She probably had a cigarette. And
my mother still tells the story to this day. 7 months pregnant with me on the salt and pepper shaker at the carnival.
Really?
Yeah.
That explains so much, Gary.
I fear nothing. I poked my head out to see what was going on. I realized everything was fine.
Your mother's going on carnival rides when she's like...
At least she wasn't smoking while she was on the ride.
Well...
Pretty sure she smoked while she was pregnant as well.
Yeah, back then they just were like
right
living on the edge.
Paul Mall, I'm switching the lights.
My mother was older too. Like she was like, it's probably this pregnancy's not going to happen. Like she was like in her 40s when she had me.
You were the baby, right?
I was, and she was told twice that she was never going to have kids again, and then here I am. Do you remember getting gifts on Valentine's Day? Did your parents give you gifts?
No, the only...
Because I remember my parents would give me like a little stuffed animal or something.
Sweet.
It is sweet now, and then you think, well, it's kind of weird though. But I think people do that once in a while. I don't know.
Well, so you gotta... What is... The thing with Valentine's Day is that it implies romantic love.
That's what I think.
And I don't really read into it. That's why I don't know that much about the story, the history, or...
That's why I thought you'd be a great guest for the Valentine's Day.
Right.
I don't buy into this crap.
Gary doesn't know shit, so let's ask him. No, I just mean in the sense of the world could use a lot more love. Like you think about the song, "Put a Little Love in Your Heart."
Absolutely. So why not make it all kinds of love on Valentine's Day?
And when you think of the love of a child or love of a relative, most thinking it doesn't go to a romantic place, obviously.
No, I hope not. Yeah,
you're in some kind of thing. But
bad indie film we'll go with.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, let's change the subject. We're going in a direction.
My brain went immediately to a John Waters film.
Now, you and I grew up in the same time, okay? How stressful was it? I've talked about this on the podcast on Valentine's Day. Do you remember we'd make envelopes? And then the kids would bring in Valentines? You must have done that.
There was maybe part of my memory wants to block it out, but yeah, I think it was like almost like the depressing popularity contest where all cute girls and all. Because
we grew up in the time where you didn't have to give everybody a card.
Yeah.
You'd be cutting out your Star Wars,
he's my friend, he gets one, he's my friend, Your
Looney Tunes Valentines you get for they still sell them. And then I remember literally making these envelopes that we'd put on the front of our desk, and then you'd be praying to God that it wouldn't be empty by the end of the day. No trauma there with that?
No. The biggest trauma I have with a early grade school religion. Well, it was a grade Catholic school, but anyway. Grade 6, romantic thing. There was these 3 girls, and I thought they were all really cute. And the one I liked a lot. And all of a sudden on the Friday, they're like, "Oh, she likes you. She likes you. You should ask her out. She likes you." So they manipulated this so that we were apparently by Friday going out. And they gave me her phone number.
And this is the one you liked the most.
Yeah. And so when I went home, a little later on, I think after dinner or whatever, I phoned her. And I said, "Hey, do you want to maybe go out and hang out, go to the mall?" No, I'm busy. No. On the Monday, oh, by the way, she doesn't want to go out with you anymore. And then I somehow indirectly found out that it was just a big manipulative game to play with my mind and my heart. And
how old were you at this time?
Grade 6, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 12.
I was awkward, and I think everybody knew I was gay except me. So I never had that awkward mind games and stuff. But that's sad at grade 6. But I know that's when relationships were happening.
Well,
our puberty was slowly kicking in.
My self-esteem has never been very high when it comes to my appearance or.
Oh my God! Come on.
No, honestly, I'm not trying to fish or anything. I'm just saying my opinion is I've seldom liked looking at myself in the mirror because I don't like what I see. So
I like what I see.
I like the person, in my heart.
Yes, who you are.
I know who I am. Yeah. But the physical to look at me, I don't see it. You know what I mean? And I can call out all the things about me that I don't like. I can also write down a couple things that I could see what people would like. But for the most part, it's a struggle to sit there and try to believe when someone finds you attractive and says that. That's why I'm blushing. It just feels so like, oh my God, that's so sweet to hear that. But for instance, most of my relationships growing up as a young guy was I thought a lot of girls were pretty, but the ones that liked me as well were the ones I would date. So that, we may have had nothing in common, but because I thought she was pretty and she was willing to find me attractive enough to go out with and get to know me, there lied within my underlying, I wouldn't say settling, but just kind of taking what was given to me instead of, because I was never a predatory person. I never want to. To this day, even now that I'm separated, I don't feel right going out and asking somebody out or asking if I can buy them a drink or asking if they can dance. It's just not in my makeup. You know what I mean? I have a lower opinion of myself than people might think that I carry myself. I have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, you have a little bit of not a big ego, but you do have confidence.
But it's in what's inside me and what I know I'm capable of if given those opportunities. And the one not good thing about Facebook, but you start to see people for when they post certain things, you're like, oh, okay, this person's attractive and interesting, and then they're like, oh, I like this, and you're like, oh, you're one of those people. You don't think that the Syrian refugees should be fed, and you want them to go back to their It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
I know. I don't know.
How can you be a good person?
I think I've shared this story to you. I probably mentioned it on the podcast, but it's worthy of hearing again. I had a friend that I used to work with, and I'll keep his name anonymous, but he never went on Facebook, but I'd always tell him I was on Facebook, and he told me about this girl that he dated that was just like amazingly hot. She was real kinky in bed, and she was awesome in the sack and everything. And he just raved and wondered what she was up to. And one day he asked me, "Could I log in like on Facebook? I won't go look at your stuff, but I want to just kind of look up some people."
Right.
And he had told me about this girl, so I knew this girl was one of the ones he was going to look up.
Right.
And I remember him coming about an hour later, and he goes, "Yeah, now I know why I'm not on Facebook." And I was like, "Why? What happened?" I go, "Well, this girl that I told you was like the epitome of every like great sexual fantasy I ever had. We had some amazing sex and stuff. She's now like this soccer mom who like basically her whole Facebook is like cutting coupons and budgeting, and it kind of killed the whole fantasy that he had."
Well, I mean, even then, I can still find someone like I can see an aged version of some of these women. Actually, the one that broke that little game that I dated for the weekend, she's like one of those fitness model things, like in her 40s doing fitness model stuff in bikinis.
Oh, older women. There's a lot of attractive older women. I think his problem was that he was picturing her like, doing Groupon and coupons and stuff,
But still, like, women can be attractive in curlers too. You just
bend them over and
I mean,
they're cutting out coupons for shampoo.
I have certain...
That's horrible. I apologize for any woman who was offended by that.
I have certain things that are turnoffs for me. One of them is poor hygiene. Like if you smell more than once in a blue moon, that's a turnoff. You can be the most beautiful woman in the world, but if you kind of have...
To answer for me, that's a big turnoff, but it has to be different stuff.
What?
Like garlic. When
Yeah, but that's a just happened to be like you and I went for.
No, but being in retail, there's some people that eat so much garlic it actually comes out of their skin. Yeah, I don't mind like if you have bad breath because you ate a pizza beforehand. Right. I forgive that. There's literally people that eat certain foods that it's reeking out of them, and I've had people that smell like meat. Like just weird meat smell coming out of them.
To me, that says that they didn't shower very recently.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is like because some people don't even use deodorant. They use like crystals and. Yeah,
and sometimes it's really bad. I don't want to sound like a weird perverty guy, but some light BO is kind of attractive on a man. Speaking as a gay man, I remember, some people think, like you came from the gym and you said, I'm going to shower, I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to come over here, If we were dating, I'd probably say, you don't have to shower. We'll shower together after, And, that's probably grossed out many people, but I bet you there's at least a couple that are thinking, no, that's kind of hot, actually.
Well, I mean, if we're dating, it would be like, you go into the shower and have some sexy soap time, obviously.
Yeah, but no, you could do stuff, get sweaty, and then you do the shower.
So, hygiene's one thing. Another one is the heart. If someone's mean-spirited or cold-hearted has no affection for animals. I mean, you don't have to be an animal person. You can be one of those people that's like, you know what, I love animals, but I'm allergic to them, or I can't have them around me because I
like animals, but I don't want them around. Yeah.
So the heart, how somebody is.
You don't want to be with somebody.
And
Gary Reid's turnoffs. If you just turn off.
and I think this goes part and parcel with political and religious stances. Like you can have stances on things, and by all means, if you're incredibly well informed, it should all be eloquently placed. But if it comes with rage or partisan bitterness, like like when people are slamming their fist down, like, anger's got to stop, the rage has, like when people scream, stop yelling.
Yeah.
It's like, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like when somebody writes the words fuck Trump in graffiti, I tried to explain to my boy, because he's 13 years old, he thought it was funny. I go, well, it actually, that kind of stuff just feeds their agenda to say, see how unevolved and how the other side is.
Yeah.
They're using that kind of stuff as ammunition to make us look bad. So when there's a crazy right wing or a crazy left, anybody who's an extremist is going too far with something. What I don't like is like when, like for instance, somebody posts something about Trump and someone goes, oh, the media is lying to you. He's done some wonderful things for this country. Well, you know what? I only go by the facts. And if someone puts down facts in front of me, and I don't have them in front of me, but what I see is a grown man who's supposed to be the leader of one of the biggest countries in the world and saying things that shouldn't be said by a school teacher, let alone the leader of the free world. And before he even got elected, I was completely taken aback with the grab her by the pussy and some of the stuff that had come out of this man's mouth.
Yeah.
They almost didn't elect Barack Obama for some photos of him smoking a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
So, or talking about how Michelle Obama's sleeve, the shoulders being shown on her dress was, classless and all this. Meanwhile, it's just, there's a big giant agenda being fed through society, and you're either on one side or on the other. And my opinion is I'm on the side of what I see. And problem is, some of the people who are opposing Trump, like this is what I'm talking about, I'm not opposing him properly enough. I'm not fighting for the transgender rights strong enough. Like there's a whole bunch of things. I'm not, like, am I supposed to march in the Black Lives Movement to show support? Or am I supposed to stay out of the way and nod respectfully? Like, do you know what I mean? There's so many of these little nuances that are making me vilified when I'm pretty sure my heart's in the right place when it comes to kindness and the world, like it's just one perspective.
It's a tricky world right now we live in. One question before we take our break here. You said something that some days you don't like looking in the mirror. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who do you think is an attractive man, like a celebrity or a thing? Who would you like to see looking in the mirror? Like, I wish I looked like that. I know.
Jesus.
I know I could tell you actresses that you'd like and stuff like that, but
who would I like to have the appearance of when I look?
Right, for a man. We'll talk about that other stuff.
I mean, obviously a lot of these guys put a lot of work into their physiques. That certainly helps. But I mean, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, Chris Hemsworth, Thor,
absolutely,
Brad Pitt, who apparently is one of the smelliest people out there.
Yeah, I've heard that.
He's got very bad hygiene, but I mean, he's a very good-looking man and an amazing actor. Those three, Chris Pratt to a degree.
Yeah. Chris Pratt, I could see as you though. He's got a good sense of humor
but he's pretty.
He is, but I think he could play you in a movie. If I was doing the Gary Reid story, I could see Chris Pratt playing that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Anyhow, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to talk. We're just going to throw any kind of Valentine's Day or love or lust or anything question. I'm here with Gary Reid, my Valentine Day for the podcast. We'll be back after this.
I'm sorry, sir. This is a private mountain.
But I only wanted it.
This mountain is reserved for patrons of drive-in theaters.
But
it's a supply depot for all sorts of good things, which people can get at the snack bar, like soft drinks, hot dogs, good hot coffee, candy bars of all kinds, delicious popcorn, and refreshing ice cream treats.
But I am a patron of this drive-in.
Well, why didn't you say so? Be our guest.
Hello, we're back. We got incense burning. We've got The lights down low. We got some ambiance here. Of course, it's a radio show. You can't feel that. But turn your lights down.
And you're not wearing pants.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know we were telling him that. Anyhow, we're going to just talk about anything that we can think of. So we talked about, men that you thought were attractive. Growing up, what were some of your female crushes? Or, who did you like?
Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, good choice.
Obviously.
Good choice.
No surprise, one of my first real sweethearts was a very Olivia Newton-John-esque female.
Okay.
Except she's not Australian, obviously. Other women from back then, well...
Did you have posters on your wall?
No, that was in the heavy metal days. Lear, when I got into the teenage years.
Lear.
Metal Queen.
Wow.
But no, the earlier years, Anne Margaret.
Anne Margaret, good. Yeah, lovely choice, yeah.
Especially in Pocket Full of Miracles, which is, I think, you and Damien should both watch since you both haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, it'd be different, yeah.
I'd like to see your takes on that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Christy McNichol, since we were talking about
Christy McNichol,
a little bit.
Yes, a little bit, yeah. Valerie Bertinelli,
a little bit.
I'm now thinking of my brothers.
I really didn't like that show, though. I thought it was raunchy. Like, it was...
Raunchy?
Well, Schneider had the cigarette pack in his
But he never smoked it, I don't think.
I know, but it just...
don't look over there then, because we just got the complete series of One Day at a Time. We're watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I used to love that
Phillips
show.
Used to kind of... She gave me this vibe.
But you know what? I think it's for that show. I remember my brother's friends, and they remind me of Julie and Barbara. I think they were... Like the clothes they wore, just their attitudes and stuff.
Vicki Lawrence and Loretta Swit, too, were...
Vicki Lawrence?
Crushes, from Carol Burnett.
Oh,
Carol Burnett, too.
Vicki Lawrence. Sorry, when
Mary
you say
Tyler
Vicki
Moore.
Lawrence, I forget how good looking she is because I always go to Mama.
Oh, and Madeline Kahn and the other one who was in the same movie, Terry Garr.
Terry Garr, yeah. Yeah, no, when I think of Vicki Lawrence, I always go to Mama, like Mama's Family.
Yeah, which
and
was
so I'm like,
was
what? You were hot for Mama?
No. She was a cutie.
Yeah, she was. She was a good show. So that's cool. You had a lot there and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Do you remember who your first crush was in school? You don't have to name names if you don't want to. They're probably not listening. What are the odds?
I think it was a young... Probably the one that played sports with me a lot, Judy. She was a little blonde, blue-eyed. She was kind of a tomboy.
I'm laughing because the first girl crush I ever had when I was not sure if I was gay was a girl named Judy as well.
Huh.
Must have been a popular
blonde
name.
With blue eyes?
No, she kind of had I want to say a blonde Penny Marshall look.
Okay.
I liked Laverne and Shirley, so maybe that's why I liked. She was also very popular because I don't want to be rude here, but it is Valentine's Day, so she was the first developed girl in our school, and so she became really popular. But we were friends, kind of, and then we realized that she kind of made me realize we talked about Dukes of Hazzard a lot, and then we both were obsessed with John Schneider. Yeah. So I kind of realized at that moment, I don't think I'm really hot for Judy. I think I'm actually hot for John Schneider.
Yeah, Daisy Duke, and the one that was in Fall Guy, Heather Thomas. That was another one. And Heather Locklear.
Oh, yeah. But with Judy, I remember I only went to one school dance in my whole life. Yeah, start playing the violins. And it was probably traumatized because I remember I wanted to dance with Judy, but I couldn't bring myself up to the nerve. So they came up to the last song of the night, which was Stairway to Heaven, as always. I know, but it was always...
Why is this a
we came
song?
from the generation
Made no
for this.
Sense.
Anyhow, I went to look for Judy, and she was dancing with a friend of mine, John. And I remember watching them dance, and I didn't have the nerve. And then by the end of the 8 minutes, I realized I wanted to be dancing with John.
Oh, okay.
And I went home, and I think my sister-in-law bought me the Totally Hot album by Olivia Newton-John, and I played all the sad songs from it.
Does that have I Honestly Love You on it?
No, Totally Hot was later. It had stuff like Deeper Than the Night or A Little More Love.
Will a little more love be?
Yeah, so.
Will a little more love make it?
Were you, well, you said you were kind of, you weren't really shy in high school, were you? Were you like a...
No, I went to the beat of my own drum. Like, there was cliques, and I was an athlete, but I didn't like a lot of the palookas that were on a lot of the sports.
Okay.
Like, I loved ice hockey, but I'd never played ice hockey in high school, which I should have, because I couldn't stand the guys on the hockey team. The only guy that I had played hockey with as a kid was the goalie on the team, and even him I didn't really care that much for. So it was just like, you're all dicks. So I played football because one of my good friends was on the team.
Yeah.
But, yeah, hockey was just like, screw this.
Now, you said Stairway to Heaven, you hated dancing to that song.
Well, think of that drum fill.
And it's a weird song. It's like, yeah.
Guitar solo, like...
I know, but they'd always play it.
It's stupid. Well,
And
it was
it's
popular.
kind of like, do you remember when they used to play Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie?
No, I remember
Yeah.
the song.
Well, do you
but I don't
remember that song where you'd be dancing slow? No, I never danced slow, but you'd see people dancing slow, and then that, when you think you got that, there's this little dance moment in it.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, oh, what do we do now kind of thing.
Yeah.
What would you think a great song to dance to would be? Or maybe a dance you remember? That...
Well, I do remember the song Time by Alan Parsons Project.
Oh,
And
I love that song.
That's a beautiful song.
I know.
And so
Sadly, that's one of the songs I want them to play at my funeral.
yeah,
I don't think of that as a dancing song, but yeah, it
that's
would be
in another
beautiful.
50 years.
Yeah, well, I don't want it to be next week or anything.
Yeah. Eye in the Sky is another nice song, but not a slow song.
Oh, I'm getting an Alan Parsons project
No. I
feel.
just thought we were talking about Alan Parsons songs.
Oh, okay,
But, song. Honestly, if I like, remember we're talking about Grease 2, We'll Be Together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or
yes, this is the only Valentines show that has mentioned Grease 2 as a song.
well, We'll Be Together is a.
It's a pretty song.
It's like you're the one of my dreams, but I never knew it. I wanted to tell you time and again.
Do you remember, like, love will turn back
Oh,
the
that song
hands
makes me
of
cry.
time. Oh, for those of you who have never seen Grease 2, we're telling you it's not as bad as people say. I'm in defense of Grease 2.
If you don't see Grease 2, you're a fool and you're robbing yourself.
Yeah, it's not as good as the original, but
No.
there's some great music numbers in it. We were actually supposed to go see the Zoetic. We've been waiting for Grease to show up again because I have some people, Damien and my friend David,
Yeah.
wants to see it. And I was so excited because I've been looking for it, and they announced that we're showing it with Grease 2.
Yes.
And they've never done a Grease 2 sing-along. So we bought our tickets, then they wrote us and said because of some kind of legal thing or they can't get the rights, they can't show Grease 2.
Really?
So they comped our tickets.
I
so
blame Adrian's med.
I know, they were really cool. I was looking forward to singing Cool Rider at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
I even had convinced the ones who had never seen Grease 2 to stick around for it. Yeah, reproduction. Oh my God, that would be great to hear in the theater.
The only song I didn't like was "Let's Do It for Our Country" because it screamed like pretty much date rape.
Well,
I'm tricking you and gonna bang you because
It
you
is.
fear for your life. Like, this is a horrible. As a
It
young
is.
guy,
It
I'm like,
is. It is.
This whole part could not have been in the movie, and I would have been. He was my least favorite of the T-Birds. Was it Goose? Is that his name? Or
No, that wasn't Goose. That was like, I forgot what his name was. I can't remember. I'm
Was
down.
Goose the one that plays Shooter McGavin then?
Yes,
Okay.
that's Goose. And
Yeah, then the
there's
other one's the
Dave.
big
He was
nose
the
guy.
little one, and then I can't remember.
Dave
what
was,
the-
I think.
Demucci, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but
Mike, look at us having this Grease too. Like we know character names.
was
here.
that the little one? Was it not Corey? But he was.
I don't think he was famous.
Wasn't it the Samwise Gamgee guy? Or is it just coincidence? He looked like.
No, they looked alike. No, that
He
wasn't-
reminds me of that
Yeah, I
guy.
know who you're talking about. You're talking about the Austin, Sean Astin. No, that was not
Patty
him.
Duke's son.
No, that was not him. He would have been too young because he was. He a couple of years later, I think he was in Goonies because Grease 2 was 82, and then
Lost Boys too.
no, he wasn't in that.
Wasn't he in the tub in the Lost Boys?
Corey Haim.
That was Corey Haim?
Yeah, Corey Haim.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I love our Valentine's Day shows turn into like a Tiger Beat magazine of her.
Yeah.
What is...
All we got to do is talk about Leif Garrett.
What is... Sorry, I have no problems with Leif Garrett.
F. Scott Baio.
Do you remember his singing career, Leif Garrett?
Yeah. That's the only thing I really remember about Leif Garrett.
Do you remember his big dance song? I was made for dancing, oh, 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 all night long.
I'd have to
look
hear
that
it.
one up.
Yeah. You know the one that every time I hear it, I can't get it out of my head, and it was the only hit by this guy other than a commercial jingle. Remember David Naughton? Is that his name?
David Naughton, yeah.
The song "Making It."
Making It
from Meatballs.
Yeah, the song was in Meatballs. Yeah. But
I fucking love that song.
But he was in like a big movie, don't you?
American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
And
he was in a show called Making It.
No kidding.
I believe it was like a Saturday Night Fever ripoff, and I think Making It was a big hit already, and they used it, the theme. Oh my God.
That was a catchy song, though.
I love, Making It.
I'll be making it.
I have to admit that it is in my music collection.
It's a good tune.
It is. What was like... We were talking about, like movies like Heavy Metal and the Blue Lagoon, those movies that when we were going through prepubescence, we would desperately see a movie. Can you think of other movies that you tried desperately to see because it was like, oh my God, that was so...
Let's just say, as you can remember from the earlier years, Super Choice and First Choice.
Super Channel, yeah.
I don't know why, I must have just come home after school and Mom was still at work and Dad wasn't really around back then. Last Tango in Paris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went cartwheeling into a sexual frenzy of what the fuck is going on here.
That's a deep movie if you see that too early.
I don't really, you know what I mean?
I think it's a deep movie if you see it now.
I don't get it. And
I own it.
I have parts of it where same with the postman always rings twice when he's plowing her on the table.
I've always wanted to see that, but I've never seen that.
That upsets me.
Yeah,
because all my life.
What were you upset? Was it the butter scene in Last?
No. What upsets me is
Tango in Paris.
No, that didn't upset me. That was just like sexually charged. Like, oh my God, like he's banging this hot little.
Did you look at the butter differently after?
You know what? I even forgot about it until I watched that scene again, and it's just like
I remember the scene. This is a weird
like Apocalypse
scene.
Now, but with a sex scene. That's what that part reminds me, because he's like, "I'm gonna make you eat fucking pig," you know, like, and all this weird stuff. It's like,
for the people who don't remember this movie, this is a Marlon Brando movie that's got a bad stigma to it now, but it was a really critical acclaimed sex movie, but. It's not like Marlon Brando from his On the Waterfront days or like Streetcar Named Desire, which
when he was a hunk.
So bangable. This is like
gross, greasy.
Yeah, he was
food.
Just Brando. Before he did, like I think he looked hotter in Superman. That was a couple years later.
Yeah, exactly.
But this movie, I don't remember much about this movie. I do own it, but I remember the weird scene where it was like cut all the fingernails off your one hand and shove them up my ass or something.
I don't know. Like that's what I mean. Like,
but if you don't know what the butter scene is,
as a kid, too soon. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! Here's a horrible story. This is the worst Valentine's Day episode ever. That's not a romance movie.
Well, that's not something you should watch as a kid either, is what I'm saying.
I love Clockwork Orange, but I wouldn't put that on for like a light romantic movie.
No, but when your mom and dad sneak into the drive-in, and my dad goes, "Okay, you can look down." I look up and there's titties. It's like, ah!
Your parents took you to see Clockwork Orange at the drive-in?
I guess it was too young to leave they didn't have a babysitter or whatever.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Yeah, I don't think it was, they were hoping I was going to fall asleep, I guess.
The respect I have for that movie is that, I love the movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. I just did my top 50 movies of all time, and it was in there.
It's powerful.
Love it. But I remember I just saw it maybe about 10 years ago. They showed a free showing up at the Zoetic, or it was the Movie Palace at the time. And my friend and I went because I've never seen it on the big screen.
Wow.
And a couple people were there, and I remember after the first, because all the dark stuff is really the first half hour is the really bad, the home
before
invasion.
He gets arrested, basically.
Right. Like, there is some disturbing stuff, but the home invasions and the rape is all in the first half hour. That's why Kubrick he banned it from the UK himself, because people would dress like that and they would idolize the first half hour of the movie. And it's like you're missing the point of the rest of it.
Yes, that's the whole
But anyhow, people still walked out of that movie after the first half hour. And I said, that's how powerful that movie is. We are in the 2000s now, and people are still offended by that. Yeah. But here's a horrible story. It starts off kind of humorous, but my friend, I'll say his name, he's passed on now, Norm. He was a good friend of mine. We used to like, on Monday nights, I think 47 used to show these Italian movies, and they were like blue movies. You'd sometimes see titties and stuff. So, my parents were downstairs playing, Kiwanis TV Bingo, and we'd be upstairs waiting for the 47 movie to start. And we used to love it because even, I knew I was gay at that time, but I still liked seeing titties.
And you've always liked boobs.
Right. Or a sex scene because you knew it would be naughty. And even though it's always weird when you're watching a sex scene with, back then when you were a kid watching a sex scene with another guy, you're kind of hoping you're not going to get aroused.
It was a little
odd. It's odd. You try to, suddenly you notice your friend's got a pillow in front of him. Yeah. But anyhow, we watched this one movie and it was on a train and we were like, oh, it's coming. My friend was so obsessed with it and stuff. And the most horrific thing happened and we never watched that movie channel again. There was a scene where a woman was just basically trying to turn a guy on and was doing a Sharon Stone where she's revealing her vagina. Right. And they didn't really show it. It was all done in a way. Right. But as teen kids, we were like, ooh, we can picture it in our heads.
Yeah.
Movies that you saw when you were a kid that you thought, oh, yeah, they must have lingered on those breasts and bush for 20 minutes, and then you see it again, it was 10 seconds or something. But as a kid, it's wow.
Dolly Parton in a corset.
And so she's and he goes and tries to finger her on the train, and I'm like, I can't believe. And they'd be showing this on 47
wow.
Omni now, and it would be at 9 o'clock at night and stuff. And his hand went to go put thing, and then he opened a switchblade and killed her that way. And we were traumatized, and we were like, yeah, we're not watching the Italian movie anymore. Because we could not have predicted that. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. What
a freaking buzzkill.
Yeah.
That's like that movie, The Tin Drum. You ever seen that?
No, I've heard that's really...
It's just, what the fuck? You watch it and you just, no.
Yeah. Some movies are weird. They're supposed to be sexy and then...
I get that there's a niche out there, but pathos to a certain degree, you can do it without it just being outright. For instance, The Accused.
Yeah.
The rape movie with Jodie Foster.
That's
she's such a good actress.
Wonderful performance.
And I have trouble with any scene of an assault that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I remember watching a movie where the guy was an abusive husband or boyfriend or whatever, and I remember him in this whatever scene, confronting the woman, and I had such an empathy of helplessness, this isn't right, this isn't it never felt right. I didn't come from a place of violence. My dad wasn't around a lot when I was young.
No.
And my mother, even when she drove him insane, he would go out and go away. He didn't want discourse. Yeah. And coming back full circle, that's what I learned from my parents is I didn't want to be a fighting couple. I wanted to be a loving, connected couple. So when I watch movies, for instance, Catch Me If You Can, you remember the scene where
I saw the scene, Leo.
Martin Sheen and his wife are doing the dishes together.
Yeah.
And they're slowly dancing back side to side, just lovingly, helping each other with the dishes and looking at it. And it was just, and you see him at that point watching them. And that's what he wanted for his parenting. Remember how his parents didn't work out.
Yeah,
Christopher Walken was this hardworking, idealistic businessman, and the wife wanted more passion and more out of her life and money. And that's what I got from that when I watched that movie. It was just like I could identify with it. I wish I had that. I wish I had that in my life. That one person that I can, be with, and everything we do is not a chore. It's a life experience together.
That's lovely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I recently, I'm going to say the story because it's beautiful. We were so touched by it. At Christmas, we were with my former sister-in-law, Cheryl, and we were talking about, she was happy how my brother had moved on with his life, and she obviously had some hard times with it, but she had got to a point with her life that she's happy he's moved on, found somebody, stuff like that. And we kind of were hinting that, are you going to start dating or stuff like that? And she said, well, right now I love my job, my career.
Right.
She has great business and stuff. And she said that if I find something, I would like to find something like you and Mike have.
Yes, absolutely.
She said you seem to have fun together. You have a respect for each other. You don't. And we were touched because we never really thought of it like that because we just do our thing. But the fact that she compared that she would want a relationship like us just made us so happy inside and stuff like that. So I know what you mean when
you guys are a couple that definitely to be influenced. Like I look at your pictures of you guys together, and I'm like, that's not just a Sears photo pose. That's you guys are holding each other and loving each other. You know what I mean? It's not like it's genuine, and just because you don't climb all over each other and make out in front of everybody doesn't mean you don't care passionately for each other.
The one picture of us together, that was actually funny because that was actually done at Sears, and we actually. I remember we saw a picture. This is a really sweet story. It's just it starts off kind of weird. We remember that there was a pose like that by the two guys who did South Park, Trey and Matt. And in Entertainment Weekly, they did one of those things like we're posed with me sitting down, and we always joked we need to get a picture like that.
Yeah.
And I always joked, if we arranged to do one of those photo things, would we ever do it? And Mike said, yeah, why not? But I don't think he ever really, he'll never set, he did the old, I'll agree to it because he's never going to set up one of those. And I actually went to Sears and I was looking around and I found a stuffed animal. And I liked the stuffed animal. I picked it up and it had a tag attached to it. And it said, if you found this tag, take it to the photo shop and you'll get a photo.
Nice.
So at first I put it down and walked away. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what? We always talk about it, but we're always too chicken shit to do it. Nice. So I went back to find the stuffed animal. I found it, brought it to the thing, and we got a photo shoot. Now, it was funny because when we went in, the lady was really young, and she was kind of trying to get us to say what our relationship was without,
she was tap dancing.
Yeah, are you brothers? Are you good friends? Are you... And we finally said we're in a relationship. So I said, oh, okay, well, we can try some.
Good for you.
And we said, well, we definitely want a picture where one of us is sitting and the other. And I think we both tried it, but I think I was too looming over Mike, because that picture is Mike.
Yeah.
So when I don't know, I just looked more I think because Mike has such a young baby-looking face, I just looked like, hello, little boy, you want some candy? So we went with the Mike looming over me. But I remember her trying some really different photos, because she said, "Well, how would you like to pose?" And we're like,
we call this one the quarterback.
Yeah, and we're like, I don't know. And I remember her doing things where we're lying on the floor and we were two different sides, and it was never show that again. But the one she had us do was we were faced cheek to cheek. And I know Corda, when she's editing this, is going to be looking to see if she has it.
Nice.
It'll probably be on the YouTube. And we thought it was the most ludicrous thing. And we did this cheek-to-cheek thing, and we were practically laughing. So we had to, like, stifle our laughing because it was, like, so... Like, it was natural if we were doing this in our home.
But felt
it was
cheesy
weird,
it was
like,
staged. Yeah.
So when they gave us all the prints, we actually saw the cheek-to-cheek one, and we ordered one of them because we're like, yeah, that's actually kind of fun.
That's hilarious.
It turned out better than we thought, and we were so happy the Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I got their names finally, turned out, because we always wanted a picture like that.
Now, when you went to Sears, did they have the blurry forest background or the Bob Ross blue and white background?
We went with the generic. Yeah, I know they have some funny ones.
This is the woods in the background. No, it looks like just a blur.
The greatest picture I ever saw, a wedding picture, was on King Street. There used to be a photo place. It's not there anymore. But when I was a kid in the 80s, around 1985, they had a photo place. And I saw this picture in there, and I was with a friend of mine, Mike Obermeyer, and I'm kind of glad I had someone to share it with. I don't talk to him anymore, but we always have this memory. And it was the worst photo ever, and we just sat there and laughed. I actually wanted to buy the photo.
Really?
It was a picture. You know how photographers always try different things? But then you always remember that the pictures that they probably have in their storefront are ones that people didn't want because they were like, usually, or they asked them, can we use it?
Decided to not pay for it or whatever.
There was one, and I cannot believe it to this time, and I think we laughed so hard at it that they took it out of the window.
Oh, really?
Thing. Oh, fuck. It was so awesome. It was a woman in a wedding dress sitting on a chair, like looking beautiful, her wedding day. And one of those big screen TVs, but like the consoles that were on the floor.
Yeah.
And his picture in his tuxedo was superimposed on the TV. So she's sitting next to the TV, and he's on the TV. This is like the most unloving wedding picture I've ever seen, but also I want to own this picture. We are these smart aleck kids, can't believe our eyes,
That's so
laughing, and I swore the next time we went by it was gone. They must have just saw us like...
Or someone beat you to it and bought it.
I
will give you $1,000.
I should look it up and see if was this a thing, because you know how they always go through phases. They have pictures of like, here's our hands. I gotta forget this is a radio show. I'm doing my hands, where you have like a close up of the hand. Yeah. I'm a romantic guy, but I don't think you'll ever see a picture of like Mike and I's hands.
No, I think romantic is the non-staged stuff.
Yeah.
That's why you found it so comical in the Sears
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? You can still do, and like that's a nice picture. You can still do nice pictures, but you have to go through a lot of wacky shit to get just that nice picture. You guys will look good in them, but half the time it's a fake smile because you're laughing and you're like, okay, let's get this over with. Like I said, you're like laying on the floor like this beside each other. And...
Well, pictures are awesome because they tell so many stories. Like, Mike made a good judgment. Like, we used to look at old pictures, and some of them, you remember, this is back in the day before digital, so you get a lot of crappy pictures, like, like a kind of blurry shot or something. Yeah. But I kind of like those days, because now people just like, oh, it's not perfect, get rid of. Even like kids' pictures, a lot of places you can like eliminate blemishes from them.
Oh my God.
And to be honest, that's kind of, like, I like the realism. Like, I hate looking at my old school pictures, but at least it's an accurate portrayal of, this is me. I had zits this day when I had it. But now you can get them all removed and airbrushed.
Well, it's funny you should say, we were talking earlier about, self-esteem and all that. I absolutely hated and used to avoid getting my picture taken as much as possible. And as I got older and started giving less of a fuck about what other people thought of me, and a lot of that had to do with, getting into improv and getting on stage and developing inner confidence to the point where I was like, okay, I feel like I look like an idiot, but I'm just going to embrace that.
Yeah.
So whenever we were posing for anything, if it was a goofy picture, I was like, okay, here it comes. Here's my goofy picture. If it was a nice picture, I tried not to smile too much. And he used to always get oh, come on, smile, let's see some teeth. And it's like, well, no, because I got these incisors. They look like Dracula fangs. And I have a nose that when I smile, it looks like I got a big giant clown wrinkle face, like this. Like I have so many.
You've analyzed this.
Oh, big time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as I got older, and that's the good thing about, now you can snap a billion pictures, and now I just don't give a shit. So,
pick the best one and
do what you got to do.
I like going through old pictures and seeing somebody turned, or I have a cigarette hanging in my hand,
or your one side of your head sticking, the hair sticking right out because it's like you slept funny on your pillow or whatever. My dad used to say, "What'd you do? Comb your hair with a rock?"
But everybody should at least. There's a beautiful Valentine's Day sentiment. Everybody should at least know that they've probably had at least one person in their life masturbate to them.
I won't lie to you. The more flattering to me. I would be very flattered.
I would be flattered. Now, nobody's going to admit this to you, but I'm just saying that there's got to be moments.
I've had a couple admit it to me.
And that doesn't make you feel good?
It does. It's massively flattering. But, I mean...
Is it awkward when they tell you that?
No. I think
it'd be for some people.
I think
it's not something you just...
If you're over having dinner with the family and
oh, by the way, I masturbated to you the other night.
Like, oh, Gary, you'll never guess what? I had a wet dream about you. What? No. It's just in private conversation when somebody says, oh... I was thinking about you the other night or I had a hot dream about you. Like when I was younger, if someone said I had a hot dream about you, I'm like, tell me fucking more, please.
Mm-hmm. I would too. That doesn't happen to me though.
Well, again, same thing. Could be just people being awkward and shy and just don't want to tell you that kind of stuff.
I'm usually the guy handing out the hot towels at the end of it all. Or yes, I'm going to tell you about it afterwards.
It's where you're hanging the towels, which impresses everybody. I noticed you didn't bring anything with you. Oh, you have towels. It's like that joke, the most popular guy is at the nudist colony. It's the guy that can carry 2 large coffees and a dozen donuts.
Oh.
And the most popular woman at the nudist colony, the one that could eat the last donut.
Wow. This is a racy Valentine's Day.
We're allowed to talk like this, aren't we?
We are, absolutely.
We don't have guidelines in place.
No, not at all. And if anybody is masturbating during this, please, well, maybe not write it in the comments, but send me an email and say,
rub it in.
Are you enjoying it?
Rub it in, do what you got to do.
Well, look, we taught a lot of people about stuff. There's probably people looking up Last Tango in Paris, Grease 2.
My goodness.
So we've talked about a lot of things. God help us.
Those 2 movies should never be a double feature.
I remember looking at butter differently for a good couple of months after that. Because I just like, what does he need butter for? Is he going to make popcorn?
Oh, get the butter.
And he says it like that, too. Do you remember, like, you can admit it if you were young or something, was there ever a movie that's a weird movie that you've actually found you were turned on by?
The Live and Let Die were...
The James Bond film?
With Roger Moore and the black woman.
Okay.
I'm saying black woman because he's with a million different women.
Yeah.
But in this particular one, she was very attractive. And I think that was the closest to erotic dream I ever had was after seeing that movie. I dreamt about that woman.
Was the music playing?
No. Because I actually found the music a little bit haunting and unsettling. It was fitting for the song, for the movie, but it actually used to kind of creep me out a bit.
Live and Let Die?
Even to this day, wow. It's not one of my favorite ones. And I think it's a little bit of the flute trills that like there's just, it's a very...
Yeah. It was a very different Bond theme. Yeah. I liked it.
But that earliest memory, I think, like we're talking early 70s, mid 70s.
Yeah, you would have been really young when you saw it.
I think that's when I was starting to get the stirs of finding women attractive and stuff. And all the way through growing up. But one movie, and anytime I mention, I've got one memory of this movie, and all I can remember is 2 girls. I think they're cousins or sisters. I think they're cousins.
They're cousins.
No, sorry, not that. Dark thing.
Okay.
The one girl, they're wearing nightgowns. I think it's raining, and the one girl is pregnant, and they run into an alley, like they're running away or something, and the one cousin pulls out a butcher knife and stabs the pregnant girl dead.
Oh my
And
God.
then
Was this one of those 47 Italian
I don't
movies?
know. No, I don't. I think it was either a made-for-TV movie or a movie that they put on TV, but it was a later night viewing. But I remember, and then she takes the knife and just cuts a scar on her cheek. And then the next scene is the end of the movie, I think. She's sitting in a bright sunlight in a car, the backseat of a car they're driving, and you can see the scar is kind of healed and whatnot. And I don't remember the banter. I don't remember the context of it.
We don't know the title.
It happened. No, it's
spoilers, but we don't know what movie it is.
Well, it's haunted me because I want to say Christy McNichol was in it, but I don't think so. I think just a lot of my memories are tied in. Like, I have memories tied in from like Rocky Horror Picture Show to Monty Python to the Beatles to Saturday Night Live. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was because as a kid, you wake up in the middle of the night to go pee and you would see something and then you go back to bed and then that would be, so there's a lot of bizarre amalgamations of memories that, maybe have become different memories over the years. But that one just kind of stood out to me as like, certain things like World According to Garp, perfect example. Grew up loving Robin Williams and then I see this movie. My dad takes me to see this movie.
The dark movie.
And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. The dog attack where the dog attacks him and then he bites the dog's ear off, which would have been funny if it wasn't the violent biting off of a dog's ear.
Yeah.
The girl doing her thing and then the children die. Like the whole movie is just like, why the fuck would you take me to see this?
Yeah, that's disturbing.
Like Popeye too. Like the first two movies.
I love Popeye.
You know what? A lot of people do, and I was a huge Popeye fan. I found it dark. I didn't find it it didn't translate into funny and fun. I don't remember.
Popeye's pretty dark.
But I don't remember laughing or.
No, I don't remember it being a funny movie, but as I look at it now, I think the production and what they looked like all looked pretty great.
Yeah, but I mean, this is coming from something I watched in practically black and white. And then even then, Robin Williams, like even though he did a great job, he really didn't fucking look a thing like Popeye.
I think he did.
Yeah?
We'll have to agree and disagree. I love our Valentine's Day show. We're talking about Live and Let Die, Popeye. See, this isn't you listen to other Valentine's Day show, they're talking about Titanic, The Notebook. We talk about the real movies. I'll tell you a weird movie that I always found erotic, and it's not erotic at all, but I always found the lead actor very attractive in this movie. And this is embarrassing, boys and girls, so I'm going to say it. The Jerk. I have a strange obsession with early Steve Martin. I found him a very attractive man.
I never
and even though that
character of his attractiveness.
I don't know what it is.
I loved him. I thought he was hilarious and enjoyable and fun. And The Jerk was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
But I never understood why. He always looked like he had gray hair from the time.
Yes. I like. He's furry. I like that. There was something about him. I have weird male attractions. Like everybody thinks I like pretty boys and stuff, which I do. All those men you mentioned earlier about who you thought were good looking are great. But then I get this weird like Ed O'Neill. Like I find him attractive, whether he's playing Al Bundy or even in Modern Family. There's just I think it's because he's real. Like his characters come off as brutish or boorish.
Yeah, but
he doesn't play it in a way that's over the top. It feels like I could meet somebody like Al Bundy.
Yeah.
And because he's not fake, it's actually kind of attractive to me.
I just found Steve Martin was almost kind of like Merv Griffin in his attractiveness. There was not a resounding sex symbol.
I don't remember ever getting aroused watching Merv Griffin.
And seeing all of Steve Martin's work throughout the years, it was just like he wasn't trying to be sexy.
No,
you know what I mean?
I find him, and when I hear now that he's like does the banjo circuit, like he's a big banjo player.
He's a photographer. He doesn't want to do comedy anymore, and a mutual friend of ours said that he's because he doesn't have anything funny else to do.
But you know what?
He's run out of stuff.
He was doing some movies where he was starting to look really plastic surgery looking, and it was starting to look scary. Like I remembered. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I remember as a kid watching The Jerk saying, I think this is an attractive man to me. And the character wasn't attracted to me because he was a jerk. But I love the movie.
Bernadette Peters was cute, but I didn't understand, what the huge. It was like Sandra Locke. I think Sandra Locke was cute. Yeah. And then I watched Every Which Way But Loose, and she's smacking him in the face, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't like her anymore. She's mean. She's a terrible person. She was a manipulative, terrible person.
Well, we all knew Ruth Gordon was the hot one in that movie.
Oh, that goddamn baboon ate all my goddamn Oreos.
One of the greatest stories about Every Which Way But Loose, which I didn't think we could go.
My glasses.
I didn't think we could get further away from Valentine's Day, and you brought up Every Which Way But Loose. So yeah, we're going there with the orangutan and that. One of my favorite stories about that is how that movie got made. Is the guy who wrote it actually gave it to Clint to give to Burt Reynolds because he said this is more of a Burt Reynolds type movie. Clint didn't give it to Burt, and he read it, and he said, how come you never thought of me for this movie? And he goes, well, Clint, look at your movies. You're Dirty Harry. You're like this tough guy. You're the cowboy guy. You want to do a movie where you're this brawler with an orangutan. And he basically said, I'm not giving this to Burt. I want to make this movie.
I'm glad he did.
And everybody from his agent to his best friend told him, this is career suicide. And it became one of the biggest movies of his career. Awesome. And it was supposed to go to Burt Reynolds because he was making the Smokey and the Bandits and the Cannonball Runs and stuff. And Clint said, I want to have one of these movies. And he wound up with 2 of them.
It's funny. I finally let my kid watch those, the 2 of them. But the first part is when we're watching it, he got a howl of every time you hear that music, you knew they were cutting to them, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he's drinking beer the whole time he's driving the truck. He shows up all Bob, get up, we gotta get Clyde late. It's like this was so commonplace as a kid.
Yeah.
That now I watch it, I'm like, my kid's watching this guy get all bombed and drive around in a pickup truck looking for his girlfriend. Like, oh.
I look forward to showing some movies to Damien when we get there. We haven't tackled comedy too much, but
when would you recommend I show what age should I show my son, especially in today's society, Blazing Saddles?
Oh, it comes down to the kid. It comes down to the kid. If I would wait a little bit because I think I saw I can't remember when I saw Blazing Saddles. I definitely probably saw it cut on TV. And then when I saw it on VHS or something, it was really good. But maybe a little older.
What about
just to enjoy it a
History
little bit
of the
more?
World?
I saw that young. I saw that in theaters.
Me too.
I was, 81? I think it came out. So 68.
I was 11.
And I would have been older than you just a bit.
Yeah, just a couple of years.
I have to do the math. 13.
Yeah.
Or 14 in that age.
But still,
I loved it.
I was in hysterics.
I loved History of the World.
The gorillas, the cavemen at the beginning,
yeah.
I fell out of my chair laughing so hard because I thought it was so funny. But the part where Madeline Kahn's going, yes, no, no, yes, no.
An orgy, and you saw asses, and her head bobbing when they walk in, and their cocks are supposed to be going, or it's amazing some of the stuff they got away. It's good to be the king, they're all jumping on top of her.
Hump her death.
I know, it's blatant rape jokes and stuff.
But, your dad can die, or you can have sex with me. Whoa.
But you know what? When
subject matter.
I figured with comedy, when I was doing my best movies of all time, I noticed a lot of the comedies were around 1980, 81, 82, 70. I had stuff like the original Vacation. I had 9 to 5.
Oh.
I had I have Blazing Saddles in there, but I know I did not see that as a kid. Because that came out 73, 74.
I saw it very young.
Yeah. I saw it on TV first, and then I think I saw and I probably thought, it's okay. And then when I saw the good bits, Airplane, that kind of stuff was all in the early 80s. I can't praise 9 to 5 enough because that was such an awesome dark comedy. But I don't think people look at it as a dark comedy now because dark comedies now are really dark. But that was about secretaries imagining killing their boss, and then they wind up doing scenarios in their dreams that are close to what they dreamed of. Have you ever seen 9 to 5?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh my God, we're putting 9 to 5 on at some point. It's a funny movie, yeah. Anyhow, Gary, we talked about everything. I don't even know if we had anything Valentine's Day, but I think we did. I think you talked about some of your relationships and stuff, early days.
I mean, again, when we go back to it, it's just a day, just like St. Patrick's Day or, Christmas or Halloween. It's a day that you put on your calendar, and some people look forward to it. And I don't judge people who look forward to it. I just govern by my own personal stance, and then when it comes to love, and that whether it be romantic or just genuine love for everybody, we can't get enough of it. So to limit it to one day is a serious injustice. Well, so it's like Black History Month is the shortest month of the year.
Right. But I think it's just a day. I think any real true romantics feel it all year round.
Well, that's just it.
It's just a day, as I said, it is a day somebody just made up and stuff like that. But I find that the people who have real problems with it are probably the people that don't celebrate it any other day. But
it's the one,
right?
You get your malcontents. Oh, I'm not going to let this
right. And then you're like, yeah, but you're not romantic any of the other times of the year.
That's just it, right?
So you don't need to have a day to tell people you love them, and I don't. I'm always telling people I love them and care about them.
Yeah.
But it's nice that there is a day, and some people say, well, what about the single people who have to deal with all that on Valentine's Day? If you're a single person, then you shouldn't even be on social media because you're probably seeing weddings and kids' photos. What, do they have to stop doing that kind of stuff now?
So somebody who's not able to have kids should never do anything that involves children.
Yeah.
So you can't limit your life based on everybody else. Yeah. Your life has to be all the options given to you, and then take the ones that are going to make it that much more of an enriched life for you. Because, like, for instance, you're talking about... what were we just saying there with the oh my God, my brain just completely farted on me.
It's late.
But no, when it comes to the people that don't share it, the ones who complain about it are ones that don't really do it any other time of the year either. Well, that's just it, right? Like, how you show love is different for everybody, right? Some people are not very tactile and they don't like to be hugged. They don't even like to talk about their feelings. Well, we're in a society where we need to work towards more of that because that's what's going to help. Because we need more people like yourself and you and me, in the sense of people that care, and there's more resounding passion. And passion for life, passion for art, passion for music, passion for everything.
Everything, yeah.
That is more important, and you're living a much more full life, and you're striving and thriving and surviving in spite of all the asteroids bombarding you from every direction of scrutiny and negative vibes and bitterness of people who are harboring whatever it is that they have their issues with. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is just bullshit. It's like, well, you don't have to be a part of it. So being single, that's maybe a choice, or maybe you just have, anxiety and you don't want to go try and meet people. But I always said to somebody, you know what? If you have really, really high standards, are you meeting your high standards?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if I don't like the way they do their hair, or I don't like the way they dress.
Yeah, I think there's people that sabotage relationships without even giving it a chance.
And sometimes, like, I'll watch a sitcom and I'll get frustrated with that. It's like, I know it's kind of trope, like it's been there, done that, but the ride around it, the ride around that cycle of self-loathing and whatever is still entertaining, as long as there's some levity and some good messages behind it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yep. Because like where we're gonna be 20 years from now could be very, very interesting, could be exciting, could be horrific, who knows what's going to happen.
Live for the day.
Absolutely.
And love for the day.
It'd be unique to be visited by aliens and actually get to hear beep, 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 beep.
More great romantic movies here with Gary Reid. Anyhow, we're gonna wrap things up. If you love Valentine's Day, celebrate it. If not, we mentioned at least 20 movies that don't have anything to do with Valentine's Day that you can enjoy.
If you don't like Valentine's Day, make a stack of potatoes the shape of a mountain and
and if you know that reference, you're probably our age. Anyhow, Gary, thanks for coming in. I kind of bamboozled you into this, but hey, we shoot the shit anyhow, so I thought, why not turn the recorder on and see what we come up with?
We can do 3 more of these.
Absolutely, but we'll have you on again for sure. And
it was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you very soon.
I put my pants back on.